Let's talk. So things are spiraling in society and in the world, and it's hard to tell if it's for the good or for the bad or both. And the biggest question that a lot of people have is, where do I play a role in this moment? What does God want me to speak on, not speak on? What are my actions? What do I do? And I want to talk about the things that won't help us figure it out and the things that will help us figure it out. And these are things that I do for myself. And it's important because I'm someone who speaks, who takes on contracts, who creates content, who is a voice on things that are going on. So it's important for me to figure out what my role is. Now, the first step is in finding a way to distance yourself from the noise while still being informed. And the noise is getting caught up in the arguments, getting caught up in the fights, being in the comment section, talking bad about Charlie Kirk or talking bad about the people who are like the back and forth. And so what that looks like is finding solitude, isolation, in moments where you sit with yourself, where you sit with scripture, where you sit with God, where you learn, but most importantly, where you sit with yourself. And so step 2 is when you're navigating things, whether that's sitting with yourself and just trying to figure things out in isolation, or when you're just living life, when fear and anxiety arises. I want you to understand, when fear and anxiety arises, it's hard to hear exactly what we need to hear from God. In fact, it leads us back to the noise, because the noise drowns us out from those very fears and anxieties. And so you just end up in a spiral yourself. So the tool that I use to fight the fear and the anxiety is one of the things I want to talk about. What I've learned for myself is that there is a fact. There is something that has happened. That is the circumstance. And what causes the fear and the anxiety is the fiction, the story that I'm telling myself about that fact. There is a core difference. For example, for those who might be for Charlie Kirk, this man got murdered for being someone who speaks his mind. That is a fact. But the story you might tell yourself is that they're coming for everyone who speaks their mind. They're going to kill me, yada, yada, yada. On the other end, there's individuals who might have opposed Charlie Kirk or felt hurt by some of the things that he says, whoa, I see millions of his followers are rising up. That's the fact. But the story you might tell yourself is that they're coming to destroy us, or they're going to attack, and all of these different things. There is a difference. Same thing with finances. A big client might have pulled out, and that's a fact. That client held up majority of your business. But the story you tell yourself is that we might drown, we may lose it all. There's the difference between the fact and the fiction that we add to it. And you must tell yourself that the fiction is not true. And then in number 3, somewhere in that fact and fiction, when you're sitting with yourself and the fears and the anxieties come up, there are some of them that are rooted back to childhood or traumas. And when you explore them, you start to figure out what your role is in the moment. It happens every single time for me. When I'm exploring these different fears and anxieties that come up, it tells me exactly what the mission is. I can tell that's my kingdom assignment. Now, here's some of the scriptures to back up faction versus fiction. We destroy arguments and every lofty opinion raised against the knowledge of God, and take every thought captive. 2 Corinthians 10:5. The second one, whatever is true, noble, right, pure, think about such things. Philippians 4. And so listen, I'm not just talking from what I've studied. I'm talking about what I've lived, how I am choosing to currently live, and what has continuously shown me what my assignment is in areas. And I can tell that a lot of people are trying to figure out what their assignment is in this moment. And this is how you do it. Separate yourself from the noise. Find isolation. The things that come up in isolation, separate fact from fiction. Sit with God, sit with scripture, sit in prayer. In the midst of all of this, you discover what your assignment is. All right. Also, I want you to check out Breaking Negative Cycles, my book. It's about these different workarounds that you can create to make sure that moments like these and life circumstances and just habits that you have don't destroy you while you're on the road to succeeding or having whatever impact that you're having. And I also want you to check out my sister's trauma workbook. This is about healing. Healing is generational. Healing takes time, and her workbook can help you do that work. They're not this. Our books are not the same thing. My book isn't about healing. My book is about finding a workaround so that whatever it is that you need healing on doesn't harm business, doesn't harm relationships in the short term, but it doesn't heal you. Her workbook can get you closer to healing. I don't know how she feels about me grouping them together, but it is what it is. Tell her fight me. Tell my sister call me. So understand in this moment, your calling is waiting for you, but you need to become silent enough to be able to hear it.